Think about the last person you were attracted to, not just found attractive, actually felt something for. Now try to explain why. You probably can't. Not really. You can list things, their smile, the way they talked, something about their energy, but none of that fully explains it. Because attraction doesn't work like a checklist, it works like a feeling that arrives before you've had time to think and leaves you with no idea why. Scientists have been trying to explain this for decades, and what they've found is stranger than anyone expected. Let's start with something that should be simple. What do humans find attractive? Symmetry. Studies show that people consistently rate symmetrical faces as more attractive. The theory is that facial symmetry signals genetic health, a body that developed without disruption. Makes sense. Clean, logical, evolutionary. Except, in 2011, researchers at the University of Bath ran a study where they showed participants' faces that had been digitally altered to be perfectly symmetrical. The participants found them less attractive, not more. Perfectly symmetrical faces look wrong to us. Slightly off is more human. Slightly off is what we actually want. So the symmetry rule, the one that's been cited for decades, turns out to be more complicated than anyone thought. And that's just faces. Let's talk about smell. In 1995, a Swiss researcher named Claus Wedekind ran one of the most famous experiments in attraction science. He asked a group of men to wear plain white t-shirts for 2 days. No deodorant, no cologne, no scented soap. Just them. Then he gave those t-shirts to a group of women and asked them to rate which ones smelled most attractive. The results were striking. Women consistently preferred the smell of men whose immune systems were most different from their own. Not the best-looking men. Not the tallest men. The ones whose immune profile complemented theirs. They couldn't see these men. They couldn't hear them. They just smelled a worn t-shirt in a lab. And their bodies already knew something. Their minds didn't. Researchers think this is about offspring. A child born to two parents with different immune profiles inherits a wider range of immune responses, better equipped to fight disease. Your nose is running a genetic compatibility test on everyone you meet, without telling you. But here's where it gets complicated. Wedekind ran the same study on women who were taking hormonal contraceptives. Their preferences flipped. Women on the pill preferred the smell of men with similar immune profiles to their own. The opposite result. The theory is that hormonal contraceptives mimic pregnancy. And during pregnancy, the body shifts toward preferring familiar, similar genetics. Kin, safety, closeness. What this means is that a woman's attraction to a specific person can literally change, depending on whether she is taking a pill. The same man, a different hormonal state, a completely different response. Attraction is not a fixed thing. It is a moving target that your body adjusts based on conditions you're not even aware of. Now let's talk about timing. In 1974, psychologist Donald Dutton ran an experiment on a bridge in Vancouver. Not a normal bridge, a narrow, unstable suspension bridge that swayed 230 feet above a rocky canyon. A researcher approached men crossing the bridge and asked them to complete a survey. At the end, she gave them her number and said they could call if they had any questions. The same researcher did the same thing on a stable, low bridge nearby. The men who met her on the scary bridge called significantly more often, and their surveys contained more romantic content. They thought they were attracted to the researcher. What they were actually feeling was fear. Their heart was racing, their palms were sweating, their body was in a state of arousal. And when they saw an attractive person in that moment, their brain misread the signal. It labeled the fear as attraction. Psychologists call this misattribution of arousal. Your brain feels a physical state and assigns it the wrong cause. This is why people fall for someone on a first date that involves something exciting or slightly scary. A horror film, a roller coaster, a new city. The adrenaline isn't from them, but your brain doesn't know that, and here's what makes all of this stranger. Most of the signals that drive attraction happen in the first few seconds. Not minutes, seconds. In 2000, psychologist Nalini Ambady published research showing that people form accurate impressions of strangers from clips as short as 2 seconds. She called them thin slices, tiny windows of behavior that the brain processes almost instantly and uses to make sweeping judgments. Before you know someone's name, before they've said anything meaningful, before you've consciously registered anything at all, your brain has already decided how it feels. And here's the part that should bother you. Those snap decisions are heavily influenced by things that have nothing to do with the person in front of you. Whether you're hungry, whether you're tired, whether someone was kind to you an hour ago, whether the room smells good, whether the lighting is warm or cold. A study in 2010 found that judges gave significantly more lenient sentences right after a food break than just before one. They weren't making worse decisions because they were hungry. They were making harsher ones. The same effect shows up in attraction. You are more likely to find someone attractive when you are in a good physical state, well-rested, fed, warm, and less likely when you're not. The person didn't change. You did. Let's talk about one more thing. Familiarity. In the 1960s, psychologist Robert Zajonc ran a series of experiments where he showed participants images of strangers' faces. Some faces appeared once, some appeared many times. Then he asked participants to rate how much they liked each face. The faces that had appeared more often were rated as more likable, more attractive, more trustworthy. The participants had never spoken to these people, never learned anything about them. They just recognized them, and recognition felt like warmth. Zajonc called it the mere exposure effect. We are drawn to what is familiar, simply because it is familiar, not because it is better, not because it deserves our attention, just because we've seen it before. This is why you can become more attracted to someone over time, even if you felt nothing at first. Proximity does what logic can't. So here's where we are. Attraction is shaped by immune system compatibility. You detect through smell without knowing it. It is disrupted by medication. It is faked by adrenaline and fear. It is decided in the first 2 seconds, before your conscious mind has caught up. It is influenced by whether you ate lunch, and it grows through repetition, whether the person deserves it or not. None of this is romantic, but all of it is true. And maybe that's the most human thing about attraction. It was never really about logic. It was always your body making decisions your brain is still trying to explain.